President-elect Donald Trump is selecting neoconservative John Bolton as his number 2 in charge at the State Department. If you guys remember, it wasn't that long ago that I told you that if Donald Trump picks John Bolton for any position, he was just bullshitting when it came to the non-interventionist talk that he did during the election. And, I mean, we shouldn't really be all that surprised because what Trump did was like half non-interventionist talk and half massive interventionist talk. For every time he said, you know, oh, we're going to get out of there. We're going to get out of the Middle East, and then we're going to come here and rebuild the infrastructure, and we can spend the money here. For every time he said that, he also said, I'm going to bomb the shit out of them, talking about ISIS. He also said famously on Fox and Friends, infamously on Fox and Friends, we're going to take out their families. We're going to take out their families. Meaning the terrorists' families, which is not only a hawkish thing to say, it is the most hawkish thing to say because you're advocating massacring civilians in the Middle East. We have a term for that, terrorism. Violence for a political purpose. And it's not in defense, it's innocent people. Okay, so you want to be a terrorist. So it's been Donald Trump, that's Donald Trump 101. Contradict yourself 9,000 times. It appears like with a pick like John Bolton for number 2 in charge at the State Department, it was all bullshit. All the non-interventionist talk, all the we're going to, change things around, we're not going to do nation building. So, for those of you who don't understand John Bolton, just know I say this every day, but I mean it every day. Now we have the worst of all possible picks. Because John Bolton, so he's worse than the Goldman Sachs goons that Trump picked. I mean, Trump picked the president of Goldman Sachs to run the budget. He picked another guy at Goldman Sachs to be the Treasury Secretary. So he put Goldman Sachs in charge of the economy. Horrific, horrific, horrific. Still not as bad as Bolton. He put thug Mike Pompeo in charge of the CIA. Horrific, horrific, horrific. Still not as bad as John Bolton. He wants Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. Jeff Sessions is a lunatic who, by the way, is named after Jefferson Davis. You can tell he comes from a wholesome family. And he says good people don't smoke marijuana. And he's called a white civil rights attorney a traitor to his race. So this guy's a loathsome guy, too. Bolton is still worse than Jeff Sessions. Bolton is worse than ExxonMobil's CEO as Secretary of State. Bolton is worse than the fast food executive, Pusder, who is labor secretary. We have a labor secretary who doesn't believe in labor. He's against the minimum wage. He is for automation. He's a labor secretary, and he's like, yeah, let's fuck the workers. Let's go 100% towards automation. You're supposed to fight for the workers, you idiot. So this is a guy, again, sick time, I mean, you name it. But still, Bolton is worse than all of those people. So first of all, why? Well, Bolton said, he proclaimed it, I think he said it on a Fox News show. I want to hang Snowden from the tallest oak tree. Okay, now that's bad. But you say, okay, well, Mike Pompeo made a similar argument, the CIA guy, so that can't be it. You're right, that's not it. He also was UN ambassador, but he literally expressed, while he was UN ambassador, that he doesn't believe in the UN. He doesn't want the US to be part of the UN. He wants us to pull out of the UN. Okay, that's fucking crazy. This is also a guy who, without question, is the most hawkish neocon. Worse than Donald Rumsfeld, worse than Dick Cheney. John Bolton makes Dick Cheney look like Noam Chomsky. So Bolton, to this day, vehemently defends the war in Iraq. There's only like 8 people left in the country who do that. Bill Kristol is one of them, Dick Cheney's another one, maybe Rumsfeld, and this guy. But, gets even worse. He called, when he was in the running, when everybody knew, oh, Bolton might become the next Secretary of State, he was going around doing interviews, and he called for war with Iran when he's in the middle of contention for Secretary of State. So, defends Iraq to this day. Pro-torture. Wants to hang Snowden. And wants war with Iran today. Still does. And now he's number 2 in command at the State Department. So you got ExxonMobil CEO. Yeah, I'm sure there's not going to be, wars for oil or jacking of natural resources with the fucking Exxon CEO as Secretary of State, and then Bolton's right behind him. And they frame, in all the articles, they frame it as, yeah, I mean, Bolton's really going to be the one in charge because he's going to be the one who does all the managing of the department and, he's the one that has more experience. The ExxonMobil CEO's got no experience with diplomacy. He's got no experience in government. He was with Exxon for 41 years. But, of course, he has oil deals with Russia. Russia jacked Crimea. They annexed Crimea. And then, in response to that, the U.S. put sanctions on them. Well, Exxon lost over $1 billion in business as a result of that because they have oil contracts with Russia. This guy got an award from Vladimir Putin in 2013. So, what, you think they're going to keep those sanctions in place? Fuck no, they're going to get rid of them super quick. And then you have Yemen. He's got, contracts in Yemen. Ooh, I wonder if we're going to get more involved in the war in Yemen between Saudi Arabia and the Houthi rebels. Of course we are. Qatar. He's got a huge stake in the Qatari national oil company. So you got that guy. And Trump repeatedly said during the campaign trail, we're going to take the oil. We're going to take the oil. We should have taken the oil in Iraq. We should have taken it. So advocating doing war crimes on live national TV, as Trump did repeatedly. It's amazing. It's fucking amazing. And now you got that guy and the most hawkish person in America as the number 2. Okay, if you had all of John Bolton's beliefs laid out and you polled the American people, he would be the least popular person in the United States of America. Because he's never met a war he doesn't like. He loves every single goddamn war. He wants to invade fucking everywhere. So, this is terrible, man. Trump is just this giant, malleable piece of clay. And he's not going to listen to the people. He's going to listen to the advisors in the room with him. And he's surrounding himself with the most establishment pricks imaginable. I told you guys at the beginning. Donald Trump, you're going to get one of two things. You're either going to get the most establishment candidate because he's going to realize he's in over his head and he's just going to rely on everybody around him and he's going to pick establishment people. Or you're going to get the authoritarian wild card who disregards everybody and everything and does whatever he wants off every little impulse he has. It appears like you're getting actually a mix of both. But you're definitely getting the establishment angle too, because he's picked so many generals for different positions because he feels, but I'll be comfy if I have the generals around me. I'll just let them run everything. I'll let John Bolton, the top neocon who was in government forever and he made fucking horrible decisions, but he has experience, so I'll have him around me. ExxonMobil, he's not part of the establishment, right? Goldman Sachs, they're not part of the establishment, right? No, of course they are. They're the heart of the goddamn establishment. So he's putting the establishment in charge. He's putting the military-industrial complex and the establishment in fucking charge. So that's the most establishment you could ever be, but sprinkled on top of that is a thin crust of authoritarianism. With all of his, maybe we should ban burning the flag. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should get a year in jail. Maybe we should get a giant fine. Maybe that should happen. Tremendous. Believe me. Let me just tell you. He's also massively corrupt. I mean, honestly, even if he wasn't corrupt, he would still be the worst pick ever because of his actual policy beliefs. But listen to this. This is from Huffington Post. They say, Bolton launched the John Bolton Super PAC in 2013, which some speculated was a way to promote himself ahead of a potential 2016 presidential run. That run never materialized. But the PAC, which could raise an unlimited amount of money, enabled Bolton to bring in huge contributions from wealthy benefactors while lending his hawkish credentials to congressional candidates. In the 2014 and 2016 election cycles, Bolton raised $11.3 million and spent $5.6 million on independent expenditures in support of Republican candidates. 3 of the candidates whom Bolton's Super PAC boosted, Senators Tom Tillis, Republican of North Carolina, Tom Cotton, Republican of Arkansas, and Richard Burr, Republican of North Carolina, could now be in a position to vote for his confirmation as Deputy Secretary of State. Oh boy. So do you get that one? He got a super PAC, started funding these candidates, and now these candidates might be in a position to vote him up or down. We've gotten to the point where the corruption is so mainstream and so normalized in American society that nobody even blinks at it. Again, Trump just put 2 Goldman Sachs people in top government positions as he railed against Hillary Clinton for being the swamp because she's buddy-buddy with Goldman Sachs. Do you not see how that breaks down? That logic? But they'll always flip it. Well, I don't know what you mean. These guys are competent in their position. That's why I picked him. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, so what? I gave these people money to run, and now they're going to vote me up or down. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, there's a problem there. There's no problem there. I know them. They know me. It is what it is. No big deal. No, that's the exact kind of corruption and conflict of interest that you're supposed to have laws against in government, and you're supposed to never allow that or 1/10 of that. But no. What a sick, sick system that's rotting from within, and we're all witnessing it right now.